Welcome to 100 Yards of Football, and this is our Football Legends segment, and I'm your host, Bobby Butler, and today we have a special guest with us, former teammate of mine, NFL great, and Major League Baseball great, Mr. Brian Jordan. Brian, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be on it, Bobby. Before you even get started, man, I got to tell everybody, what you meant to me coming into football in the NFL, man. Bobby was my spiritual leader, a guy that I could always rely on. I was just raw talent out there, and really, I learned so much from you and, Scott Case and Deion Sanders, man. So I just want to say thank you, man.
Well, I appreciate that, man. But, man, we had such a great time together, man. We're going to get into all that because we had a lot of fun when we played the Falcons. And so we'll get into that. So in 1988, you was drafted in the first round in the Major League by the St. Louis Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
And
Correct.
then in 1989, you were also drafted by the Buffalo Bills in the 7th round.
Yes.
All right. And you got released in training camp. And we pick you up. The Atlanta Falcons pick you up from the football side. Thank God for that. I know that was a bad thing when they released you, but, man, we picked you up.
It was a whirlwind, man, for me. To go to a smaller college like University of Richmond and get projected as a third-round pick coming out of college.
Right.
I had something to prove. And to be invited down to the Senior Bowl puts you among the best. And
absolutely,
it was very important for me to go play that game. And a week of practice under Dan Reeves' staff really catapulted me to being the first or second safety taken in the draft that year. So I was excited, man. First round pick in baseball, looking to go first round in football. And then in the first quarter of the Senior Bowl, I break my leg and dislocate my ankle.
Wow. Okay.
So that was a huge obstacle in my life that, to go down to the combine on crutches and basically have every doctor tell you that because the injury is so severe, they don't see me playing in the NFL. I mean, that could turn your life around, man. But, for me, I grew up a Christian, and I felt like no man could tell me what I couldn't do.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
So I was on a mission, man. So after surgery, I told that physical therapist, I don't care if I'm crying every day, you keep pushing me. And I was just fortunate that Buffalo still drafted me in the 7th round, to have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember 3 months after that surgery with plates and screws put in, I was running straight ahead, full speed. Couldn't go side to side, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But I was ready for minicamp to give it a shot. And Buffalo had to slow me down, man. And, I waited for training camp, and I really had a great camp, man. I led all defensive backs and tackles. Of course, that was the years when Buffalo had the great defense, man.
Yes, they did.
Smith coming up on the end of his career, that was my competition, and Dwight Stone from Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I had a great camp, man. I thought I made the team. They didn't come get my blue book, so I was like, I was down working out, and the trainer came and got me, and he said, Marv Levy wants to see you in the office. And I'm sitting there smiling, thinking, hey, welcome to the team. And I walk in, and basically he told me I was a 46 man on a 45-man roster.
Oh, wow.
And, my heart was broken, man. So
absolutely.
And I've never been cut from anything. So that, that was an eye-opener for me. Although they didn't want to cut me, they wanted me to be on injured reserve for the whole year. And I was like, after going through camp like that, I know I can play in the NFL. So basically I was like, release me. And if I don't get picked up, I'll come back to Buffalo. And I didn't even make it home, man. I got a call from my agent and said, the Falcons want you to come down and take a physical. And that was it. That was the start of my career, man.
Well, I tell you, it was great because, I had heard all those things that happened to you. And I go, wow. And we ended up with you. And it was just perfect because you came in 89 when Marion Campbell,
yes,
the head coach, and coached a great defensive scheme in a 3-4 defense, but it was a little different. I mean, it was a bend but don't break defense.
Right.
We had some great players, then, and but at the end of the day, you played 1 year with him, and then here comes Jerry Glanville. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that down the road. We're going to talk about that. So when you were playing the Falcons, you also played in the Cardinals minor league system at the same time, right?
Yes.
And so how was that? You were, playing with us and then going to camp right away because, football was over basically in January. And then training camp, to get ready for baseball, you had to get going immediately.
Right. And it's something that I was used to all my life. I played 3 sports in high school, so my body was used to changing speeds. And, for me, football was my priority at the time. So I would play 30 minor league games, and I'm hitting the weight room, getting ready for training camp and slowing down. So they were fine with it. They knew football was first for me. And I was always ready to come training camp, man, especially when you got a coach like Jerry Glanville, you better be ready.
You better be ready, right?
So I got myself ready, and my body was used to it, man. So it was a routine that year after year I was ready for.
Well, that's cool because, Jerry coached me, of course, with you. But, he was my first coach in Atlanta. I don't know if you knew that or not. He was a defensive coordinator in 1981. So he coached me 2 years. And when I tell you back then, he was a lot different as a position coach and coordinator as he was a head coach. Because Joel Williams, we had a lot of guys that Joel Williams continued to play. But when Coach Glanville came, he said, I can't do it. I said, come on, man, you got to try one more time. I just can't go through a training camp with Jared because it was crazy in 1981.
Right.
I talk about that off the screen, but it was crazy, man. I'm talking, it was absolutely crazy. So Joel said, I can't do it. And so he didn't come back to camp. But anyway, you in 1990 was a beginning of Coach Glanville, and we went 5-11. We were not doing well at all, but on paper, man, we had players. I mean, to me, we're an all-star team.
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball. We had Chris Miller, who was throwing the ball well. The scheme that we had on offense was the run and shoot offense. We had Mike Haynes out wide. We had Andre Rison. We had some guys, and we had Mike Rozier running the rock.
Right.
So, man, we had Mike Ken, and we had Chris Hinton on the O-line. Yeah. Bro, we were loaded.
Yeah.
We were 5-11.
But right? You know how it is, Bobby. You get a new head coach in, it's a process. And although we had the great talent, there's a gelling that needed to take place. Right. And you watched this, man. We got better as the season went on. We started, especially on defense, man, and defensive backs. We really gelled together, challenging our receivers. So to me, it was a process. And once we learned that process, we took off that very next year, which was even more fun. So, yes, but we had so much talent, man. It was a learning experience, I think, for all of us to get together and play together. Well, we had a lot of egos too on that team.
We did. But it's amazing that 5-11 season, Brian. We lost 10 games in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So we didn't
know how to finish. We didn't know how to finish.
We were right there, and we were new at the run and shoot and just crazy. Hit the quarterback defense. That's all we want to do is hit the quarterback, sticky blitz, right?
Right. Yeah, so exactly.
We wanted to do that. So we had that 1990 year, and I remember we got together as a secondary, and me, you, Dion, and all of us got together, Scott Case, and we started to talk about how can we make ourselves better. And one of the things we did, we came up with our own finding system within the room. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so if you dropped the interception in practice, it was a $5 whatever.
Yeah.
And, whatever you did wrong by mistakes, or you got beat for a touchdown, it was like $10.
Right.
And so we collected all this money, right? And then next thing you know, guys like Dion, who was making all the money, was laying out for balls in practice, man.
Yeah.
It was another effort that we had never seen before. And so I think that kind of put us over the top, too, because we started to practice really hard. One of the things I can say we did, I know as our group, the secondary, we studied a lot of film, studied a lot of tape. We understood what was going to happen, in the game. And so that got us better, too. So in 1991, you came in and had a Pro Bowl season. You led the team in tackles with Jesse Tuggle on the team and with Scott Case on the team. Those two are 1 and 2 in Falcon history of all-time tackles.
Right.
I don't know if you knew that, right?
I did not know that, man.
Yeah. Scott Case is second on the all-time list tackles made for a Falcon.
Wow.
behind Jesse Tuggle. And then you led those guys, you know, in tackles, and you had like 5 picks that year. You had 4 sacks. I mean, one of the best sacks, you know, was in the Seattle game, man.
Seattle game,
you make yourself skinny and carry on the tackle, and then you got old boy in the backfield and slammed it down for a safety. That was so you had a Pro Bowl year. And I'm going to be honest with you, Brian. I really thought that you were the best strong safety in the game. Watching everybody who I was watching, all the guys who were supposed to be, I thought you were the best in the game. And so we're going to get into that too, 1991.
Yeah.
That was 91. But then, after that season, you hung up your football cleats for good, right? You retired from the game of football.
Didn't want to, Bobby. Did not want to.
So tell me about that, man. Tell me about that right now.
Well, you know what, man? You're right, man. We gelled as a team. I learned so much from you guys, man. I'm gonna be honest, because coming up in a smaller college like University of Richmond, I never knew how to watch film. I never knew how to do things. That's why I said I was just raw talent, learning on the fly. And in 91, I was starting to figure it out. I was starting to pick up on, you know, what to look for in film.
Right.
You know, I was so looking forward after that 91 season to the next season.
Right.
Because for me, I was just hitting that, you know, stride of learning the game of football. So I went to Glanville and those guys said, hey, man, hurry up and sign me because I know the Cardinals are coming and I'm not ready to give up football.
Right.
Well, you know, Ken Hirock and Glanville dragged their feet. And then I heard rumors about this safety in Oklahoma that they wanted to look at. And I couldn't wait any longer. The Cardinals put pressure on me. You know, I wasn't making a lot of money in football yet. So, you know, at some point I got to look out for my family. And so it was disappointing for me because I knew I could, one, reach that Pro Bowl status and become one of the best safeties in the game.
No question.
But I felt like I was cheated by Glanville and Hirock by, you know, dragging their feet. But, you know, I had so much fun, too, with you guys, man. I wasn't ready to leave. And going into a new dome, man, you know, it was.
You missed that, man. You missed it.
I missed it, man. It made me sick when y'all went in that dome and I wasn't with you guys, man. But yeah, that was pretty much it, man. I wasn't ready to give up football. I was ready to hit that Pro Bowl status and be one of the best. But unfortunately, it just didn't happen.
Well, you know, the business of professional sports, man, we can't predict it. And it's not kind to anybody. You know, I never forget my, I think my 5th or 6th year. You know, Steve Barkowski, I'm telling you, that guy was unbelievable. And so he's a great quarterback. And how they treated him in 1986, I'm going like, are you kidding me? If they did that to him, I don't have a chance.
My
day is coming. So you just have to enjoy it while you're doing it and don't take it personal. It's a business and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, so you hung up your cleats in football, and then you played 7 years for the Cardinals. When you got called up for the majors, 7 years in the majors with them. Then you had 2 stints with the Atlanta Braves. Then you played, I think, a year or 2 with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
2 years.
2 years. And then you played with the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year with the Texas Rangers. And so you played 15 years in the majors, right?
Yes.
Man, that's incredible all in itself, man. That's incredible all in itself. So here's the thing. And then in 1998, you were an all-star.
99.
1999, you were an all-star. Okay.
Yes.
And then you also had the privilege of playing in the World Series with the Braves 1 year.
In 99, yes.
And that's another incredible thing, man. I played 12 years and didn't even get close. So you know the story better than me, right? So here's the Major League Baseball stats. You had an all-time career batting average of 282. That's incredible.
Yeah.
You had 184 home runs. Incredible. Then RBIs, runs batted in, you was just south of 1,000, 821 RBIs.
Right.
Man, that's a great baseball career, man.
It is, man, and I'm totally blessed, man. But like I tell everybody, I'm still the Rodney Dangerfield of 2-sport athletes, man. I get no respect, man. You look at the stats, you know, both football and baseball. It's like, come on, folks, what are y'all looking at?
You're looking at, right? Exactly. So let's go back. I want to introduce all that for you, but then I want to talk about, because I think parents and kids need to understand, for us, how did it start for you? When did you start playing organized football?
Well, it started. It started for me. My sister and brother, 2.5 years older than me. They both were great athletes. So I always followed my brother around, playing with his friends, football, and I always wanted to compete, man. I even wrote my first children's book about that. I told you I could play. Just trying to show my brother that I can play with his older friends and stuff.
Right.
But it really started for me around 8, 9. My dad signed me up to play baseball, which, heck, I was scared to death to start playing with, some other kids and, football also. But I thought it was important. He thought it was important for me to get out there and learn how to play with others and be a good teammate. And for my dad, he always pushed me to be a leader. Be a leader in whatever you do, whether it's baseball or football. Of course, baseball is a lot different than football because, when you become one of elite players in baseball, you got to play with the white guys. Right. Because, if you're going to play on a travel team, you got to have a lot of money and just baseball is totally different than football. Right. But for me, I love them both. Basketball being my favorite sport, Bobby. So I played it all, man, and loved it. But it all started around 8 or 9. My dad, he made sure that I competed and played in leagues to where I can get better and learn some skills. So
that's cool.
Yep.
So let me ask you this question. So at a young age, did you ever dream about playing pro ball at all? Or when did that ever happen for you?
You know what? I was one of the blessed ones, man. I have a mom and dad in the household. And I know my mom was an educator. My dad was a steel worker. He didn't want his kids to ever have to work in those hot mills. So he pushed us in education. So, my mom and dad, they sat me down early, man, when I was 8 or 9 and said, hey, I want you to dream and think of a dream that you want to happen. And as a kid, man, I said, look, I want to be different. I love I didn't care what kind of ball it was. I was going to play it. And I love sports. So I wanted to be not only one professional sport guy, I wanted to be a 2 professional sport guy, So I didn't know what that sport was going to be, either one of them. But that was my dream, man. And my mom and dad always encouraged me. No dream is too small. Just write down your goals and work hard to achieve them. And your dreams may come true. So I never gave up on it, man. And, even with my injury that we talked about out of the Senior Bowl, I never gave up on it, even though the doctors said, hey, you're not going to play in NFL with that injury. So, I'm happy that my parents gave me that hope at a very young age.
Well, it's funny, right? So I really believe this, Brian. The Bible talk about write the vision down and make it plain upon tablets. The person who read it may run with it. Though the vision is for an appointed time, wait for it because it would truly come to pass, right? And so when we write our goals down, right? And I know for me, I did that when I was 9 years old as well, right? I had nobody guiding me to do it. I just saw Gale Sayers playing, and I go, that's what I want to do. And I went and got a sheet of paper, man. Didn't know what I was doing. Wrote it down. I'm a professional football player. And I used to read that thing until it was deep down in my heart. And I don't care where I would go. Somebody would ask me as a kid, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I would tell them, bam, I'm playing the National Football League, right? And everybody shot me down because I was the smallest kid. And I wasn't a tough kid, but I can outrun everybody. So that was the gift that God gave me. So, but that thing kept the flame going. It always kept the flame going. No matter what happened, no matter the injuries, no matter the setback. I thought one year when I was in the 8th grade, I sat the bench for the first time. Boy, you talking about being crushed?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought my world had came to an end.
Right.
And not on top of that, Brian, I was always a quarterback. I always played quarterback, right? And so, but this year they got me playing tight end. I've never been the size on any level. Part 1 or no level to be a tight end.
What?
So I was really on the bench. Right?
Right.
So the coach, Coco Gauff's grandfather, Eddie Odom, Mr. Red Odom, who was also in the Braves farm system years ago, right?
Wow.
Was a defensive coach, and he would ask me every night, Bobby, I need you to play defense. I'm like, Coach, I ain't doing that. They just need to give me the ball. Give me the ball. Everything will be all right.
Right.
And I never got off that bench. And then one day it came to me, I need to do what he asked me to do. And I did that. And here's what happened. I never got any playing time, but I learned how to tackle in the 8th grade.
Uh-huh.
I learned how to tackle. And so after learning how to tackle, I come back the next year on that same team. I'm the starting quarterback again. We win the championship. But then I go to high school. And as a 10th grader, I get a starting position at free safety, 135 pounds, tackling people.
Uh-huh.
One of the best teams in the whole state of Florida. And then, I played quarterback my junior, senior year and broke all the records, right? I was a stud quarterback, bro. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Uh-huh.
But nobody recruited me to play quarterback. So
not surprising.
So no, in the time,
right.
And so everybody recruited me to play DB, and it worked out. I ended up going to college and tackle people for 4 years, played 12 years in the league tackling people. So, you just got to put it in your heart and you just got to go for it. So let me ask you this question. Who was the person, other than your brother, do you have anybody else to inspire you to play?
Well, I'm going to tell you, my grandfather, man, I don't care what I did in the game, Bobby. Okay. My grandfather would always say, my dad, he would have done it better. And I remember as a little kid, and you think about that.
Uh-huh.
That was my motivation to outdo my dad. And I remember I scored. I was a running back, so I scored 5 touchdowns, ran for over 200 yards. And I didn't even want to go to McDonald's, man. I wanted to go see my grandfather first. And I went to see my grandfather, and my chest was out, man. I'm smiling ear to ear. My grandfather looked at me like, he must have had a good game. And I said, pop, I scored 5 touchdowns, ran for 215 yards. And he was old, so he was always leaning over.
Right.
And he looked up at me and said, well, your dad would have probably ran for 300 yards. And it just deflated me, man. But that was my motivation, man. I couldn't, as a young kid, you don't think about it. But as I got older, I was like, man, he kept me pushing.
He kept me pushing, man.
Yeah, man. So my story also is similar because I was a running back all through high school, man. One of the top recruited running backs in Baltimore.
Okay.
In the Maryland, man, state of Maryland. So, I'm going to the University of Maryland.
Right.
My dream school, play for Bobby Ross. And, everything's working out perfect. And then when I'm ready to sign a dotted line, he told me I couldn't play baseball my freshman year. And I was like, the whole time you recruited me, I could play both.
Right.
There's no way I can sit out a year of baseball. So that's why I didn't even take trips because University of Maryland was my dream school. Okay. And I got recruited all around the country.
Right.
And most colleges wanted me to play one sport or the other. And so Maryland was like, that was my dream school, man. And when Bobby Ross broke my heart and said I couldn't play baseball, I turned to University of Richmond, which was a smarter choice because education was most important for me, and smaller classroom size. And I don't care where you go, man. If you're good, they're gonna find you. So
absolutely.
When I go to Richmond thinking, oh man, if I'm going to Maryland to be the starting running back, I know I'm gonna play here in Richmond. Well, they had an All-American running back named Greg Grooms then.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting there as a freshman saying, look, I can be playing. I should be playing. And Dal Shiley, great Christian man. I learned so much from him, man. He wanted to redshirt me. And I looked at him like he had 2 heads, man. I'm like, are you kidding me? I could have went to Maryland and I'm coming to Richmond, Division I double A. You telling me I can't start? So the defensive coach said, hey, I got a spot for you over here at cornerback. And, I'm like, man, I don't want to give up running back.
Right.
But I ended up still getting redshirted because we had seniors playing all those positions.
Right.
And when I tell you, Bobby, I was so mad and angry, but I got my grades and it all worked out in the end. I ended up playing defense. So like you, man, I was shutting down those receivers and, doing it well. So
Right.
next thing you know, I'm a defensive guy. So it worked
Absolutely.
out. It worked out.
Well, I always say this too, Brian. When we have our goals and when we have this vision, right?
Uh-huh.
And we're walking down that road. I just really believe in my life that we need to do that. But there's going to be a point somewhere on this journey where God is going to do some things and make it better for you because he knows the plans that and the hopes that he has for you, right? And so we got to be pliable enough to say, okay, look, all right, this is what it is. I just got to keep on pushing and it'll work out.
Right.
And it'll work out. So you're a three sport guy in high school, football, basketball, and baseball. Did you ever run track?
Never. And that's one of my regrets, man. I hated running. I didn't want to run to save my life, man. And track coach kept telling me, man, it's going to help you out.
It'll help you out.
And I'm like, man, you must be out your mind. I ain't running no more than one lap around that track, man. Right. So
I'm with you.
I regret that, man. I wish I would have, because, the one thing that to me a negative in the NFL was I wasn't that fast guy. Right. I had that average speed, and to be elite, you got to have that extra gear.
If you had that speed, right? Exactly. Yep. But you were a baller, so you did your job extremely well. So you said out of your three sports, your true love is basketball, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this about basketball. Basketball cheats so many kids because that is the most fun-loving sport. It's the only sport. I don't know anything about baseball because I didn't play baseball. But football practice, you don't always want to go and practice football.
No, you're right.
Right? You don't always want to do that, right? Track practice. I was a track guy. I did two sports in college. I ran track. Bro, you don't want to do that work in track all the time. I'm just telling you, right? But
no way.
Oh man, I couldn't wait to go to practice.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait for a meeting. And you love the games. But so many kids are in love with that game. And so I got a routine that I do with kids today. Right. And I did this with my oldest son, Brenton, because he never played anything but basketball. And so they moved him to point guard in high school, and he didn't want to play point. And he was mad with the coaches. And I said, look, dude, you see how tall I am? I'm 5'11". I said, you see your granddad? My dad's 5'9". Right. I said, dude, you better dribble that basketball and learn how to play point and play well. Because if you're playing the two, you're going to have to defend Jordan. You're going to have to defend LeBron. You're going to have to defend guys who are 6'6" and better.
Right. You're right.
Do that.
Right. No.
So, but basketball is such a fun-loving game. Everybody just love it. All right, let's go with this here. So, all right, so you thought that you can play any sport professionally. So you already thought that. So when you got to the Falcons, you were not the only two-sport guy. There was one who everybody knew was a two-sport guy. For a lot of reasons, because his name was Neon Deion, Prime Time, right? Prime Time was a two-sport guy. And a lot of people in Atlanta didn't know that you were in the Cardinals baseball system.
Right.
At all. And so it was almost like you were going around, being quiet. Nobody knew that you were, playing both sports. So talk about that.
Well, I was raised a Christian. I was raised a very humble guy. And, although I was not getting the accolades that Deion or Bo Jackson was getting, it didn't bother me one bit, right. Because I'm about living my life, living my dreams, and going about my business, man. One thing that, I love about Deion, Deion could talk it, but he could walk it. And, I knew Deion, what he did off the field, sign autographs, didn't drink, didn't cuss, all those great attributes, and I tell everybody, I wish I would have had Deion as my marketing guy, because I would be known in two sports, but, that was his prerogative, right. And that was Bo Jackson, who's very humble, by the way, who, went to Auburn. Those guys had the upper hand because they went to those bigger schools. So exposure and recognition, where I went to the University of Richmond, smaller school, and I really had to earn it, because those guys, they were there already. Right. And after breaking my leg, dislocating my ankle, I don't think anybody saw me coming back and playing two sports. But, I had to prove everybody wrong and live out my dreams. And, I can care less, man. The people that know me no sports,
Right.
you know.
Exactly.
But no,
but you know, I'm glad to hear you say that, because you know, if I can go back and do it all over again,
uh-huh.
I would do it the same.
Yeah.
Knowing what Dion did, you know, my personality, I couldn't do that.
Right.
I couldn't put myself out like that. You know, actually, I gave him a call when he was in college, and Jamie Dukes, who was a former teammate of ours,
Yep.
said to me one day, he said, "Man, there's a dude down in Florida State. He making everybody forget about you." I go, "Man, really? Come on, please, right?" And so he called Dion. So I started watching him, and I go, "Man, this dude's special, right?" But then I started noticing, Brian, that he was holding press conferences after games. He had his Mr. T starter kit back then, but he was already playing now for the Yankees. A lot of people don't know that Dion was not on scholarship at the time playing football at Florida State. He was playing pro baseball with the Yankees.
Right.
He had money. He had the 560 SEC rag top already, but he was holding press conferences after the game. He was out there promoting himself like Ali would do, right? I said, look, Jamie, give me this number. I need to call this kid, right? And so I got the number. I called him, having a talk. He was so good to hear from me. And so after we got through with the small talk, I said, man, do you know, you're a really good player. I said, do you know what that means? First thing he said, I'm gonna make a lot of money one day. Yeah, I said, that's true. I said, but you're gonna be one of the top NFL draft choices. And I said, do you know what that means? And he really couldn't. I said, it means you're gonna be on one of the worst teams in the National Football League. And I said, you come in here with that brashness, right? And selling yourself like that, you're gonna be a target for every news reporter in the league on a losing team, right? And so, and this is what he said to me. I'll never forget it, man, like it was yesterday. He said, Bobby, he said, I really appreciate that. He said, all I'm doing is marketing myself. He said, let me ask you a question. Who's the best linebacker to come out of college? Was it Brian Bosworth or was it Cornelius Bennett? I said, Cornelius Bennett by far. He said, but who got paid like they were the best linebacker? I said, Brian Bosworth. And he said to me, he said, that's all I'm doing. I'm marketing myself. And I said to him, it sounds like you know exactly what you're doing.
Right. He had a plan.
You know what you're doing, but know what I'm telling you is the truth. And then we're after that. Right.
Right.
And so we were roommates. And so I got a chance to really speak in there. Well, I mean, we had a great time together. But anyway, let's get back to it. So we get back, we in 1990, we were 5-11. 1991, we go 11-5. And all of a sudden, this happened.
Too legit to quit.
You remember that year, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was basically our anthem, right?
Right.
And so all of a sudden, Jerry Glanville came in, and he was a guy who was out there like Dion. And Dion and Hammer were really good friends. And so next thing you know, Hammer, Holyfield, Ice Cube, Travis Tritt, even Chris Christopherson, they're following us around the country.
Yep.
You know, and everywhere we go, every city we play in, they're there, right? And so we had that swag about us. And then it was the era of hip hop, the hip hop movement in Atlanta.
Right.
And all you young cats, Dion and all you guys was like bringing hip hop to football, right? It was incredible, man. It was incredible. And so we had a great season that year. You know, we went, and even Glanville.
Bobby, I can take you back.
Every game.
It all started in that training camp, if you remember. At the end of training camp, Jerry Glanville said, whoever made the team, remember we had to get on the bus and we went to Fat Tuesdays. That's when I knew we were gonna have a good season, because if a head coach is that crazy to take a bunch of football players to Fat Tuesdays, and you remember the results of that. He got widows knocked out of the bus. I mean, it was just a crazy situation. And I remember when the next meeting we had that morning, Jerry Glanville said, we probably get fined about $25,000, but we had a lot of fun. And when he said that, I said, we're going to have a good year. I mean, this is bringing everybody together, and everybody got everything off their chest that night. and
No
they
doubt.
brought us together, man. It was weird, crazy, but
He did.
I knew we were gonna have a good season.
Right, he did do that. Well, we did have that good year, and then 11-5, we ended up playing the NFC NFC West division champion, who was the New Orleans Saints. And we went to New Orleans and we put that thing on them in New Orleans.
Yeah, we did.
And then we went to Washington and lost the game up in Washington in the rain, which didn't suit us either way on either side of the ball, because we were a throwing team. And then on defense, man, we had to get the quarterback. I mean, we blitzed that's all we did. And so the weather didn't help us. Not an excuse. We lost the game.
Well, Mike Rozier didn't help us either, because he got suspended for that first half, which really set us back.
And that didn't help us at all.
No.
And we lost. And then a major thing happened after that playoff loss. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Next season, you were not on the team. You were the only person that wasn't on the team.
Right.
And we couldn't even contain a sweep.
Nope.
And so we lost. And I'm going to say this, Brian. I'm not saying this because you're on the show. I tell anybody this. You were the best defensive player on our roster that year. And so you made a big difference. And so we went from that and went right back to 5-11 in the dome. 5-11, open up the dome, with an exciting run and shoot offense. And so we didn't do good. And so we lost you. And so,
Bobby, I gotta tell you, and because I had built such a bond with you guys that I didn't miss too many games. And I felt so bad for Jesse Tuggle and Scott Case.
Yeah.
Because as I watched the games where, when I come up and contain, they can be aggressive inside, and they made some huge hits.
Absolutely.
And I watched that safety give up the outside, and Jesse and Scott get caught inside every single time, man. And I was getting so angry.
Right.
And I was almost saying, I told you so, Hirock and Glanville. I mean, it really upset me, man, because it made Scott Case and Jesse have an average year.
Absolutely.
And they were so much better than that, man. So it really frustrated me to see that, man.
Well, one thing that the Falcons were known for in that time, and I'll tell you this, playing there 12 years, they were known for not signing players early. And so they'll always make you wait to training camp. And so I knew that even when I signed my last deal, I didn't even talk to them. Matter of fact, I fired my agent. I negotiated my own contract. And my whole deal was just don't talk to them. I'm not going to be in a hurry because they're not going to sign me to training camp anyway.
Right.
And then I had a different value to the team at that point. And so I really wasn't a starter anymore. But, I added other things, being a spiritual leader and almost like an assistant coach on the team. So look, man, so tell us right now, you did the best thing for your family. You played 15 years in the major league and had a great career. So let us know, what are you doing now?
Well, right now I work for Fox Sports South. I mean, this is my 14th season with Fox. I mean, I do the pre and post game show, which I never ever thought I'd be a broadcaster, to be honest. But, the fact that I was a good leader in the clubhouse, Fox gave me that opportunity. And, it took a little while to learn it, but it's been a fun experience for me the last 14 years. But the importance of my foundation, which I started in 1998, that's my life right now. That's my mission. Absolutely. To give kids hope through scholarships. But I write children's books, so literacy is such a problem in our inner city areas, and not just inner city. I mean, it's a problem. With technology so prevalent now, kids do not pick up books and read. So, that's my other mission, to get kids reading, talk about the importance of education. So, that's what I'm wrapped into right now.
Well, that's awesome, man. Man, we're praying for you. We believe in great things. You represented your community well. You represent being a great teammate of mine very well, and we're thankful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show today. If you like the video, like it and share it. This is your host again, Bobby Butler. And Brian, thank you so much again for coming on the show.
Anytime, Bobby.
God bless you.